Recording has started.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of our Growth Fit interview series brought to you by CustomFit.ai. My name is Ashwini. I am the growth engineer at CustomFit.ai. It helps B2B companies to convert website traffic to quality leads by dynamically changing website content and CTAs based on user persona and past behaviors. It's a no-code platform for marketers to dynamically create hyper-personalized experiences to lift conversions. Today, our guest is really special. He has 11 years of experience with MBNA, 7 years of experience with Bank of America, 4 years at Quest Media Marketing, almost 2 years at Dependalite, and worked recently with KeyBank to enhance companies' direct marketing results. So almost 26 years in marketing industry, he is none other than Robert Pavlik. Welcome, Robert, and I must say it's a huge pleasure for me to have you for this session, understand a lot of things about marketing, and thank you so much for joining us today. Without without any doubt, I would say this is going to be a really exciting session for me.
Well, thank you,
Thank you,
Ashwini.
Robert.
Pleasure to be here and talk with you and Ashwin today. So thanks for having me.
Thank you, Robert. Without wasting any time, let's get ready for the session. So, Robert, we would love to hear about you and your journey so far. How you started, what all challenges you faced, and how did you overcome them and reached this position?
Well, that's certainly a great question. I've got a pretty diverse background, and I've been very fortunate, to be involved in a lot of different industries. I actually started with a nonprofit organization, which here means a organization that is not supposed to make money, but they do build a thing called a surplus. It was called ASM International. It was an engineering association. They were having some serious problems when I joined them. Their membership, with paid membership, only had a 62% retention rate after the first year. So a lot of people quit. We weren't treating them well. So over the course of 5 years, I raised that first year retention rate to 89%. We increased revenue from 14 million annually, 21 million annually. So a 50% revenue increase over 5 years. And there's a lot of things we did. I won't bore you with that. I then got recruited to MBNA, which is an affinity card issuer. They did branded credit and debit cards. And, that was a site that we grew from 30 people when I joined to 2,700 people. We signed deals with various organizations that helped them raise money by their constituents using the credit cards. And that was a very successful organization. However, our chairman, Al Lerner, who also owned the Cleveland Browns, which is a sports team here in Cleveland, he passed away from cancer, and his son sold the Cleveland Browns to some new owners, and MBNA was acquired by Bank of America. And I lasted another 7 years there, but it really was going from a growth mindset with MBNA to a cost control mindset with Bank of America. And they had a lot of layoffs. Of course, the financial crisis struck the world, hit the U.S. very hard as well, the United States. And there were 100,000 layoffs at Bank of America. That included our office, which was closed in Northeast Ohio, which is a northern state in the United States. And so had to find something new. I joined an advertising agency and did some sales with new growth startup type companies. During that time, I also created and patented a new battery saving technology called Dependalite. And that may or may not move to market eventually. And then I joined KeyBank for the last few years to help turn their growth engine on with respect to acquiring new clients, new banking clients. And that we have done very well as well, although more recently I'm looking to move maybe to something else. So that's 2-3 minutes on 20 years of work.
I think this is not 2-3 minutes. This is going to be really, I would like to dig into it. So, B2B, you're worked with B2B and B2C both. So, I would like to understand a bit about it. How do you, what do you like, B2B or B2C, and any key points of B2B marketing and B2C marketing? What do you like to say?
Well, I like them both. I know that's not terribly helpful. So really, when I was with MBNA, I did B2B and B2C marketing. And what I mean by that is we spoke with and met with the senior leaders at various organizations. So that was a business-to-business sale. I would meet with the CEO of the Ohio State University Alumni Association or with high-ranking officials with Volkswagen. We would talk with them about doing a branded credit card for their customers. But we signed the deals and the agreements with those senior leaders within the business. And so I negotiated the branding rights in terms of how much would we pay to use the University of Michigan logo and to market to their key customers or alumni, or to Volkswagen customers, or to NASCAR customers, or to Cleveland Browns customers. And all of these different organizations had different brand values in the marketplace. So you might have two universities. The University of Michigan here is a very large university. The University of Toledo is a smaller university. So even though they're both universities, you would not pay the same prices for those branding rights because one was more valuable than the other. So that was the business to business part of it, but that was to negotiate rights to market to their customers. And so then that was B2C, that was business to customer marketing, and that's where we also then marketed to their customers. So it was really a blend of both. And there's definitely, differences, obviously. On the consumer side, you are going to regular folks like me, like you, like Ashwin. And when you're on the business to business side, you are selling, to executives. You have to get them to agree, and it's a different kind of sale. So with the Detroit Red Wings, that's an ice hockey team that plays here. You have the customers that go to the games and buy season tickets and buy the gear and the jerseys, much like some of your favorite cricket teams there. That is sales to the consumers. But we negotiated the deals with the Ilitch family. They're the owners of the Detroit Rings hockey team. And that's a totally different, sale. There's advantages to both. I always thought it would be kind of fun to be on a large business consumer sales type advertising and marketing organization. For example, I don't know if you guys sell Budweiser beer over there, but they do a lot of humorous ads here, and it's just a huge budget, and they do a lot of big, funny ads, and you never really know how much beer it sells. And I always thought that would be kind of fun to do that. I've never been able to do that. My marketing has always been much more results oriented. So how much did you spend? How much did you get back? You can't always prove that with television advertising. It's more branding, television and radio advertising, right? How many people are actually calling in because they heard an ad on the radio, or were they going to call in anyway? You really don't.
Right. Definitely. So, how do you segregate the things? Like, if you want to go for B2C, right? Then how do you exactly know who your customer is, so that your time is reduced to get that target?
Yeah, that's a great question, Ashwini. It's so you have some customers that are buying from you. And typically you do it's called customer relationship management, right? CRM, but it really comes down to RFM analysis: recency, frequency, and monetary value. Recency: when did they buy from you last? Was it 5 years ago or was it last month? Frequency: how often do they buy? Do they buy only once a year, or do they buy 10 times a year? And monetary value: do they buy $2 worth of something, or do they buy $200 worth of something? You combine those factors and you get, hey, here's our best customers that are buying from us now. They're buying frequently and they're spending a lot of money. You build, as you touched on earlier, or you mentioned earlier, personas. You build a model of your best customers. What what characteristics do we have of our most highly profitable customers? What do they look like? What age are they? Where do they live? What kind of jobs do they have? So now you have a perfect customer profile. Then you take that profile and you match it against prospect databases. There are huge ad agencies, Epsilon, Hawkeye, Fallon, that have large databases gathered from homeowner and renters and every, geographic information on people. And you say, okay, here's our profile of Ashwini, she's a great customer. Let's match that profile with the data on these prospect databases, and let's find more people that look like Ashwini, right? And those are the people that we're going to target with our marketing.
That's a really deep insight, I would say. So you worked with Quest Media Marketing, where you handle various areas of marketing such as brand creation, SEO, marketing strategy, and web design. So what was your take on personalizing web pages? According to you, to which extent it is necessary to understand your visitor and showing them what exactly they're looking for?
Yeah, you touched on another great point, and that is, for me at that time, my focus was more on sales and then top line strategy. We only had 16 people in the ad agency. There was a CEO who I reported to. There was a client director. I was director of sales. And then everybody else was app designers, web designers, copywriters, and those types of people. So I did not design the web pages, and I don't know how to do that. But once we brought in a client, we understood we would talk with them about what their needs were and fill out a profile, okay? But to your point where we just talked about when you're doing other types of marketing, you build a profile of a customer. We can then test. We would do beta tests of websites, and we would follow the customer journey through the website. We would test different areas, and you could track exactly what pages on the website they were going to, right? So you wanted the ones that they went to the most frequently. You wanted to move those up in the search, put those near the front of the page. Each click that a customer has to go through to get to the information they want, you lose business. And if you make it hard for them to find it, you lose business. So you could immediately track that as they were clicking on your site. And the sites you're going, I didn't think they would look at this page. They're going to this page all the time. We have to move that page up in the order so that they find it very easily. So you can track electronically exactly their path through your website. And you definitely want to move the pages that they're going to most near the front or near the top. They don't have to search for them. I hope that makes sense. So, the one nice thing about
that makes sense.
In social media, you can adjust things more quickly than other channels. Direct mail, printed newspapers, printed magazines, out of home or big billboard ads. Those are hard to take down and put up new ones as you learn things. But obviously electronically, you can make adjustments very quickly. So you can test different personas for a product, like my battery saving technology product, let's say. We might have different personas. Some are campers and hikers. Some are new home buyers. Some are environmentalists. And you can test ads online, and the ones that get the most responses, you shift your marketing dollars to the ones that are getting the best response. A lot of times you don't know that until you test it. So testing is always a big thing in marketing.
That definitely makes sense. So what are some creative ways to conduct your customer and audience research?
Oh, there's a lot of different ways. I mean, there's the old traditional mail survey, which a lot of people ignore mail, but that can be effective. You obviously could do email surveys. Those work well and are pretty easy to do. Again, you want to do this with current customers. With prospects, they're going to tend to that if they don't know who you are. And of course, you have to keep things short because people's time is valuable. You can't ask too much. But we're getting to a realm where, again, if your customers view you favorably, you could do a text survey. Hey, would you answer these 3 questions? Put $5 credit in your account, and you can get answers that way. So things are, evolve very quickly, and there's a lot of different ways to do that now. But and then there is some paid search types of things where someone is searching for a particular product, and you can have an interstitial ad pop up and say, "Hey, would you answer these 2 questions?" And most of the time, if it's right there and they don't have to click off, they'll answer the 2 questions. You can gather information very quickly that way as well.
Like surveys and polls and these kind of stuffs, which we
Of
generally
course,
do
you can do
nowadays.
traditional things, which I've done. Yes, with new products, we, again, with customers that are very interested and involved, enthusiastic about your product, you can do focus groups. I don't know if you've heard of those, and that's where maybe people locally can come in to a meeting room. You have a moderator, you might have 10 people, and you gather their opinions, and you do several groups this way. Those are a little more expensive. You may feed them lunch. You may give them $50 for coming in. That is also another way to gather information from your customers.
What is that one marketing metric which you would love to go for a picnic on a lonely island?
Yeah, I love that question. That's a very interesting. For me, it would be ROI, return on investment.
Investment.
Simply just means when you spent $1, how much did you get back in revenue? And obviously, if you keep spending and you get less than $1 or a rupee back, you're going to go out of business. So you've got to get more than what you spent back. And, you try to maximize the amount you're getting back for how much you spend. So return on investment, it's a very important metric in terms of looking at the effectiveness of what you're doing. And again, just like we said, you may have different channels, print, out of home, email, paid search, television, radio, and you have to look at the ROI of each of those channels and shift funds to those marketing channels that are working best, paying you back the best, and reduce those channels that aren't paying you back as much.
Right. You shared a post of the world's broken workplace in which it was explained global GDP per capita or productivity has been in general decline for decades because either people don't love their job profiles or because of their managers or bosses. So according to you, what should a fellow marketer do to find his or her interest, whether they are good at demand gen, SEO, B2C or B2B or growth? Which field should they look into or dive into? So what should they think about it when they are choosing it?
Yes, that is so important because, when you think about it, most of the time we're going to spend more time at work than doing anything else. Sleeping, family, whatever, vacation. So it's so important to find something that you like. So it really starts when, if you're lucky enough to go into university or coming out of high school, is to test or try different things. You can also find mentors in your various industries where you could ask, you say, hey, I'm a student. I wanted to see, you work in SEO. I'd like to see what you do in a day. Can I sit with you and just shadow you, follow you for a
really
and see, what you do and if I like it? Because sometimes you may say, oh, I want SEO. And you sit with a few people that do SEO all day, go, oh, I don't want to do that. So a lot of times, experience, and while you're a student, you can ask others to help you. And many times they'll let you, follow them, shadow them for a day. And, you can do that for your paid search, for your internet, for your web design, for coding. And you could say, is this something I really want to do, for the rest of my life? One of the directors I worked for when I was with the nonprofit, and it's harder to do these days, his degree was in teaching. And he got a 4-year teaching degree. And then he went and taught for a year. And he said, I hate this. I don't want to be a teacher. And I'm like, that's kind of late to find that out. So the best, the best you can do is sit with or talk with other people in whatever industry you're doing, web design, SEO, marketing, television, radio, and learn a little bit about it and make sure that that's something you really are interested in.
I think
The other thing to look
internship.
at is, oh, go
Sorry.
ahead.
I think internship
Internships are,
can also be an option, but yeah, this thing should be before you dive into any kind of specific segment. So before you dive in, you should know like internship can be an option to explore many things in world marketing world.
I 100% agree, Ashwini, and I should have mentioned that. All of my children did internships, paid internships with various companies over the summers, and that is an excellent way to learn whether you want to, you want to be in that profession. So I agree.
Right. And coming to the last question of the session, you also shared a post on LinkedIn which says, this is what a hiring manager scans for when reviewing the resume. Whenever somebody places a resume or submits a resume, these are the points that hiring manager sees into it. So, or taking an interview, they will scan you with these qualities. So, we would like to understand what marketing skills or interpersonal skills you will see in a fellow marketer if he or she is taking an giving an interview or even while reviewing a resume.
So I think, for you, if you're pursuing a role, one of the easiest things you can do is when you have your job description that they're explaining what they want you to do, you can highlight that, just copy it and paste it into a word cloud. There's many of them out there, and it will show you the words that are biggest within that word cloud, words that better show up in your resume. You better have carefully placed in your resume, or you'll never make it through the screening process. What most companies use now is ATS, an applicant tracking system. Most of the resumes are never read. They just go through this applicant tracking system and it says, okay, these were the 5 biggest skills mentioned in our job description. And if they're not on this person's resume, we never even see it. 75% of resumes are never viewed by anybody. You spend all this time writing this beautiful resume and it looks great and you think they can't wait to read it. But at least here in the United States, the average job gets about 100 applicants. And if you think about 100 applicants, each with a 2-page resume, that's 200 pages of reading. It's almost a ream of paper. You don't want to read that. So unfortunately, human resources, their job is not to include you in. Their job is to screen you out and only talk to people they want to talk to. So that's the resume part of it. I highly recommend using a word cloud, scanning the job description and copying and pasting it into the word cloud and seeing what the biggest words are and making sure in the top third of your resume that you've put some of those keywords in there or you're not even going to make it to the interview. Now, the second part of your question about the interview, obviously you're looking for someone's relatability because you're looking at whether they fit into the culture as much as what they know. So it has to be someone that can talk to you, that can relate with you, and that's polite and so forth, and sort of knows their history, their background really well, and can point to the skills that they have that relate to the job that they want. So you pick things out of there that they say they want someone who can grow the business or somebody who can call on B2B clients or whatever. You want to make sure that you say, yes, in my current job or my last job, I called on these people. You want to relate your experience as much as possible to what they're asking for. And that really gives you the best chance of kind of surviving it. But obviously, you have to be realistic too. You have to understand rejection is a common part of it, and you can't let that get you down. When you have 100 applicants, and let's say 10 of them are really good, and 90 of them are discarded, you've got 10 applicants that they're speaking with, your odds are only 1 in 10. They're only 10%. Most of the time, you're not going to win that role, and you're going to get a lot of rejection. Thanks for your interest. You got a great background, but we're going with someone else. You can't let that get to you mentally because that can be very difficult.
That's true. Even I have experienced this thing. Many a times. But yeah, I know this is we have a time constraint, but I just wanted to ask you two questions, two last questions. First is we are facing a very maybe difficult situation nowadays, and you must have seen a revolution in marketing world. 26 years is not a it's not a small deal. It's a huge time duration. So, 2020 and 2021, we have been facing a really difficult situation. So, what should a marketer do in this to overcome this situation, like to get over all the difficulties? So, how to overcome this? So, according to you?
Yes, and I know the pandemic's been hitting India especially hard right now, and I'm sorry to hear that. And I hope that folks can get vaccinated, and a lot of the younger folks are going to come out of this. And the country has faced, and all countries have faced very difficult times in the past. And so, the good news overall is, tough times don't last, tough people do, right? We've heard that. I mean, the world has faced economic collapse. It's faced world war. It has faced, pandemic. It's been 100 years since the Spanish flu. So I'm confident that we'll be resilient and we will overcome this. Obviously, over the last year and over my 26-year career, there's really been two major power shifts. The first is power has shifted from corporations to consumers. Corporations used to present products, and they said, here's our product, here's why you need it. You have two choices. You could get one of these two choices, black or red, take it or leave it. Consumers now, it has shifted where consumers say, no, I want very personalized touch. I want my products exactly this way, or, I will complain on social media and everything else. So the power really shifted. You used to buy a car, you had no idea what the dealer really paid for that car. Now, all the information of what that dealer paid on the car is available. You have that when you go.
That's true.
So you can negotiate much better deal. If you want to buy furniture, you used to go to one furniture store, take it or leave it. Now you can order stuff online. There's Wayfair, there's Amazon, and you can check prices. You can look at consumer ratings. This product isn't good. This product's really good. And you got thousands of choices of what you want. So power has shifted from corporations to consumers. The other thing that's happened is mass media has lost some of the power. 26 years ago, television was the big behemoth in the room. It's still very important, but digital marketing now is twice the revenue of television. Television continues, at least major network television, continues to decline. Not sharply, but it is declining. So there's been a real shift to digital, and I think the pandemic drove that. So obviously advertisers have to continue to test and monitor. We shifted a lot of our advertising from television, out of home, and so forth to more digital, paid search, online search, interstitial ads, email, that type of product. So, those channels are growing. So I think it always gets down to maintaining your key relationships, knowing who your customers are, and then finding the best ways to get to your best customer. And obviously that more and more that's digital, but you can find ways to overcome that. For example, a key bank, prior to the pandemic, we shifted our marketing approaches, we shifted our offers, and our new client acquisition numbers did not go down. We found a way to overcome that. It did, they were hurt initially last spring because a lot of our customers were coming into our bank branches to sign up for our products. Bank branches were closed. We had to find other ways to get them to sign up and to incite them through digital marketing to keep our new client counts coming in. So you have to be flexible. So you have to be willing to change. We don't get to deal with the world the way we want it to be. We have to deal with it the way it is. And the marketers that can adjust their strategy and their program will be the ones that survive. And again, it's that test and learn. Okay, we're continually trying to communicate with our customers. What are they responding to? What do they like? And so If you had these 4 channels last year and you just keep doing them the same way, and 2 of these channels have gone way down in terms of productivity, and you keep putting the same money into those channels, you're going to hurt your business. You've got to adjust. So it's flexibility, I think, this time, and knowing your customers. Who are they? How are they shopping? How do they like to receive information? They have so many ways of getting it now, right? So we have to make sure we're giving it to them the way they want to receive it.
Like, we need to be detective and understand what actually are their likes and dislikes, and take the steps accordingly. Like, it's a deep insight, Robert. And then my last question, you must be a mentor for so many people out there, but who is your mentor in this world, like marketing world?
Boy, in the marketing world, that's a tough one. I do like Malcolm Gladwell. He's a very insightful author. I just recently read his book, Talking to Strangers, which I think is very interesting. And there's some psychology with respect to human interaction as well as advertising interaction that is very, very useful. So I would certainly toss him out as someone who's very good.
Thank you. Thank you, Robert. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you so much everyone for joining us today in this session. This was a really, really deep insight for me, and everyone out there who is going to watch this session. Thank you.
Ashwini, it was great talking